Good evening, everyone. I am going to, there we go. I am here to be seen. I see you too. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. When I spoke briefly at a mosque the week after the New Zealand shooting, I spoke from where my sincere belief in religious liberty begins. Tonight, I would like to expand, if you'll permit me, just a little bit of that story and then share with you, those of you who have not heard what I said at the mosque, I'd like to recontextualize that. I am the first biracial or black representative of Oklahoma City's Ward 2 on City Council. And tonight, I'd like to tell you where that story began, and it began, unfortunately, a little bit ago, 1786. There are three names I want you to stay with me as I speak tonight. One is Richard Allen. Another is one you're probably a little bit more familiar with, Thomas Jefferson. And the third is Clara Looper, with a third A there being her students. In 1786, Richard Allen was a slave and property by law. At the time, there was a religious revival in the North among evangelical Christians, and these were people who started to believe they could be born again. Now, when they got to Richard Allen, who was a slave, and he heard this message, he also heard this new message that those evangelical Christians came to believe, and that was that slavery was a mortal sin, and those who practiced it would be visiting hell pretty soon. And so Richard Allen said, well, I'm going to take this preacher to go meet my master and have him share that message because I want to be free. So the master hears this message. He sets Richard Allen free, and Richard Allen goes to Philadelphia. And in Philadelphia, it is the largest city at the time, and there is a thriving African-American population there. The abolitionists, the evangelical Christians at the time, are caught up in the spirit of freedom and ending slavery. And so they invite Richard to come be a guest preacher at their church, an all-white church. And there he will sit on the front row with his good friends until he is tapped on the shoulder by the white preachers who say, I'm sorry, sir, but there is a black pew, and that is where you'll be sitting back there. To which Richard Allen responds, let me pray on that. So he prays. And then he and his friends stage America's very first peaceful, nonviolent sit-in. And there they sit on the front row in prayer. And then they get up, they leave, and as Richard Allen puts it, never looked back. He gets a small building and he builds the first African-American church, the AME Church. This church would be where many, many years later, Rosa Parks would be one of its congregants in Alabama. I wonder where she got that idea to sit at the front of the bus. 2, Thomas Jefferson. And this is a story many of you are familiar if you heard me speak at the mosque. Thomas Jefferson was a deist. He believed in a God, but he did not share the faith of his Christian friends insofar as their belief in miracles and the supernatural elements of the Christian Bible. So he got some scissors and he cut out any reference to anything supernatural in that book. It is called the Jefferson Bible, and it sits on my fireplace. At the same time, the Anglican Christian Church starts hearing that there's this new faith, the Baptist Christians, and these Baptists do not believe the same as the Anglicans. In fact, the Anglicans are asking everyone to pay taxes to their church because their church is the state. They pass laws saying that the Baptists cannot preach without a license, and they jail them when they do. Thomas Jefferson hears this and as a young lawyer in Virginia takes their case, and when he takes their case, he defends them. He says, I do not believe as you believe, but I believe in this new country you have the right to believe as you believe. And so he defends them, and he wins. And he takes that language, and that language will then go on to form the following words. We are endowed by our Creator, not God, our Creator, so that no matter how you define Creator, you have the right in America to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and therein lies my belief, my sincerely held belief in religious liberty. It is the divining and defining principle of this country. 3, Clara Luper. At a time when our city had begun by the river, we had already begun to put in place segregation laws, saying that black people must sit at the back of the trains. They must live in this part of town, and so too the Hispanic, Latinx, anyone brown and black. Clara's students in the late 1950s did not like this idea when they went to New York and they saw that that was not how a city should be. And so they spoke with Clara and they decided to stage what we now know, next to Richard Allen, is in fact our country's second sit-in. And there they sat on our main street at Katz Drugstore, and they asked for a hamburger and a Coke. And they went back, and they went back, and they went back. And because of Clara and her students, we have a desegregated Oklahoma City. The ward in which I reside, the neighborhood in which I reside, is the Paseo, and it's 2 miles from the river where our city began, where once I would not have been able to own a home, to rent, to work, to shop. Well, I could have worked. They would let me work. They just wouldn't let me live there. The stories that I have shared with you tonight are the stories that played in my mind when I knocked 4,000 doors and spoke with 2,000 people in Ward 2 who said, you know what, I like that guy who says that his vision is that every neighborhood should have sidewalks when you walk out your front door. There should be bike lanes waiting for you. There should be crosswalks and street lamps guiding you to the schools. Those schools should have parks with recreation, the basic needs of the individuals, the synagogue, the church, the mosque, however you choose to worship. That vision for the neighborhood is the vision of G.A. Nichols when he designed the Paseo 100 years ago, and is the vision that I intend to bring into the 21st century as I work with our mayor and our council to create the next maps. This city will be for all of us, as our founders intended and did not follow through with from time to time. I am so excited to serve on city council because I know that our Constitution is what allows for this moment to exist. I wish you all the happiest of Ramadans. I wish you all to get involved in your neighborhood, to meet your neighbors and ask them, as I did 2,000 times, what are your concerns for your neighborhood, and what are your hopes for this place we call home, Oklahoma City? Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. One OKC.